everyone, this is Sandra at Spirit of Avalon. So today's video is going to be a chatty video. Don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but you will see obviously from the title. But it's going to be about witchcraft and practice and, you know, people that call themselves a witch. And there's a few of us that use this title to describe ourselves, and me as well, and that's totally fine. Now, I will say, before I start getting completely into it, I'm not the best at articulating things, and so some of this might not make sense, or it might not be said in completely the correct way, perhaps, but I will try my best with this. But I'm not the best at doing these types of videos, so we'll see how we go. It's just that I'd seen a few things come up and I thought, well, I wouldn't mind talking about that. And we all have our own personal practices, and we all do things in different ways, and that's fine, because it's what works for us and what we find works, like in spellcraft or ritual or whatever. But as I said, I've noticed a few things being said, and I thought, well, not particularly happy about that. And for me, because I suppose, for me it's hereditary, the witchcraft, because my great-gran was a witch, or she might have termed herself as a cunning person, I don't know. But my dad always used the word witch. And my dad tended to be more like that, but he might have called himself a cunning man. But anyway, so it's kind of in my bloodline, if you like. So, and I've always been connected with nature, with the seasons, with animals, the whole thing like that. And we were taught from young to respect nature, to respect wildlife and all of that, animals, everything. And my brother is bringing up his children like that as well, to respect things. And I've always felt a connection to nature and every living thing outside. And I've always had Kanunos. He's always been there for me, even, I think, although I didn't realise it at the time, even from sort of like a teenager, I think, but I didn't kind of recognise it properly then. So I've always had him. And this is one of the things as well that people do tend to poo-poo, if you like, or laugh at, or say that it's rubbish, when people have different deities, gods, goddesses, etc., that they might say that they work with. And when I say that I work with Kanunos, I have Ariane Rod, who has been with me for quite a long time, ever since my dad had his heart attack. He's passed away now, not from that, but from cancer. So she's been with me a lot of years, probably 15 years or something. And then recently I've had Bridget come in, And very recently, it seems to be, and I've heard this before, that Bridget will sometimes bring in the Morrigan and the other way around, that the Morrigan might bring in Bridget. So there's that. And when I say that I work with them, it's working with their energies, the energies of specific gods or goddesses. And for me, it's like I can feel that energy. I feel the change around me when I'm calling on that god or goddess. And sometimes even when I'm not. Like recently, I was just sat looking out of the window and I was worrying about my mum had a hospital appointment, and it's, you know, it's very difficult with her now with movement and things. And I'm like, oh God, what if this, what if that? And I looked in the tree and there were these 4 crows sitting there. And I thought, wow, we don't normally get crows here, don't normally see them. You might see the odd one, but not really. It's more magpies, which I know are part of the crow family, but seeing that many crows together, and since then I've been seeing more crows as well. But there was the 4 crows, and I thought, oh, wow. So I just kept looking at them, and they were in the tree for ages. And then a red kite flew over, and that for me is, it's a spirit animal for me, has been for years. And it's almost like they follow me around, these red kites. Whenever I'm sitting outside, even there'll be red kites somewhere. But the red kite is a bird that can be associated with Bridget. So, and if you've been watching my channel for some time, I won't repeat everything, but there was a very dramatic way that Bridget kind of said, look, I'm here, will you take notice now? And I've told that story and I won't repeat it all again. So I thought, oh wow, that's like Bridget. And what I could feel in that moment was a gentle energy, but I could also feel a stronger one as well. So Bridget for me brings a more gentle energy, and you feel that. Now the crows, the other energy was stronger and more, look, you have to do this, you have to be strong, you will get through this, you will do it, you know. It's a bit like a kick up the butt kind of energy. And this I felt was the Morrigan. And I don't have her come in all the time, but she has on occasions, usually when I need strength or a kick up the butt or that type of thing. And because I'm now working more with Bridget, I think she's kind of bringing the Morrigan in with her sometimes. So I don't have a representation for Morrigan. I want to try and get one, even though she's not there all the time, but just out of respect. So at the moment on my altar, I've got a couple of black crystals to represent her, because it's all I've got for her at the moment. But it's better than no representation at all in my eyes. So, you know, when people say you can't be working with, it's not that, you know, you haven't got Kanuna stood in front of you or this or that, but you have the energy of those beings. And sometimes in meditation, I can see them. I've even did a short meditation in Glastonbury once with Simon, and we were sitting on this little bench seat, did this meditation, and I literally saw images of the Green Man just coming in and out and in and out like that. So you feel that energy of the Green Man of the land that was around me at that time in Glastonbury in Somerset. So you know, so this is why I think it's, I feel like when people say things like that, that it's, for me, it feels like, even if they're not intending it to mean this, it feels disrespectful for me. Because I think, well, there are these energies, there are these things, and these gods and goddesses are very old pagan gods and goddesses that go back a long time, back to the Celts and stuff, you know. So that's how I work with them. And sometimes I'll actually be at my altar and have candles lit, and will work with them. It might be with honouring them with certain things on the altar, or I might be asking them to aid me in something. Sometimes when I've done healing, I've asked for their aid in healing. And when I've done that, the times that I have done it, it has worked. So again, you know, and I will get onto this about ritual, because this was another thing that I'd heard, that ritual is not really something that can be taken seriously. And yeah, I think we'll get onto that in a minute, but yeah, so the next thing that I wanted to do before we get into like ritual and stuff was like the wheel of the year. Now, I know that the wheel of the year, how it is portrayed now as an actual wheel and the way it's around, was a Wiccan thing. I know that. But those festivals are old festivals. It's not made up, which is what I've heard said. It's just made up. No, it's not. Those festivals go back a long way. Even if the Celts, say they didn't use the words that we use, like Mabon, Lunarsar and things, even if they didn't use those particular words, they still marked those points by, like, you know, harvest, when to bring the harvest in, that the first harvest of the year, you know, and Yule, you know, it's like the winter equinox, and they used these because they didn't have like clocks and things like we've got now. They used the sun and the moon and all of that to show them like points in the year, I guess. And of course we know, like with the summer solstice, the setting of the sun and then the rising of the sun. And solstices and equinoxes obviously are things that literally happen. You can see them happening. The other Sabbats, like, so say from the beginning of the year, we have Imbolc, Ostara, but all these festivals came from something. They came from a belief system. So to me, they're not made up. I mean, there's another name for Imbolc, Candlemas. So sometimes it's called that. But for me, none of this feels made up. I make sure that I do follow the wheel of the year. Yes, maybe I do have a little bit of Wiccan in there in my practice, but that's fine. I tend to use different little bits of different things, so I suppose I'm more eclectic. I suppose, take a little bit from that, take a little bit from that, but I'm trying to be more traditional witchcraft, because I feel like if I'm using traditional witchcraft, and really taking note as well of plants, flowers, trees, etc., that I'm kind of honouring my ancestors because it's in my blood. And my dad planted certain things that, again, I didn't even realise properly when he was alive, and now you can see it in the garden that there's certain things that have been planted for a reason. So yes, so I like to mark. I think it's a good way to mark the different seasons, like Imbolc with February, we're in that cold thing, and then we come out of that and it's Ostara and it's spring, and there is a goddess called Oster who can be celebrated at that time. So I don't kind of see how it can be something that somebody made up. The Wheel of the Year in its form, yes, was Gerald Gardner and the whole Wicca thing, but all those festivals, like harvest festivals and that, were for a particular reason, so the people knew when to plant, when to harvest, and all of that. That's the way I see that, and like I said at the beginning, I might not be articulating this properly, but in my opinion, I don't think it's made up. The next thing, ritual. Now, I've heard it said that, I've heard some people say on videos, and I'm not going to call out people or mention certain channels because it's not fair and I'm not into that type of thing, but I just want to address this because if you're calling yourself a witch, if you are, then something like ritual, if you choose to use ritual, and I don't mean it has to be ceremonial magic, it doesn't. I don't do that type of ritual, but I do ritual, and I do things in my own way, but it's with the gods and goddesses that I work with, it's with plants, herbs, and, maybe making certain things. And if I'm doing spell work or say a spell jar or something like that, or a particular oil or something, it's about the intent that you put into that. So when I hear people say things like I can't take it seriously, and a kind of sniggering while they're doing that, then if you're going to be doing that, then I don't really think you can call yourself a witch, really, because not if you're not going to take it seriously. And if you are doing that and you're thinking, oh, I can't take this seriously, and you're trying to do some kind of spell work, making something, then chances are that isn't going to work because you're not taking it seriously and you're not going to be putting the intent into that you should be. So then how can you expect magic, any form of magic to work if you're not going to take it seriously, or you're going to be sniggering and laughing and stuff while you're doing it. And to me, again, that is disrespectful, in my opinion. Like I say, these are just my opinions. No one has to agree with it. But if you do choose to comment below, please keep it respectful. Anything that is nasty will be deleted. I will tell you that now, because I want to keep it nice. Like I said, this and friendly. This is just my opinions, and you don't have to agree with it. But I just want to put it out there. Yeah, so for me, I wouldn't be expecting anything to work if I didn't take it seriously. So if you're not, and then you say, well, I tried this spell and this didn't work, but while I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, I can't take this seriously, then no, it won't. You have to focus. You have to focus your intent strongly into that thing, I think. I mean, sometimes, guys, and I'm telling you, sometimes when I'm doing ritual, and particularly if I'm trying to do healing for somebody, I will be sweating while I'm doing it because of the concentration and the intent and everything that I'm putting into it. I did a abundance jar once, and it did work because I put the intent into it. Not everything I've done's work. No, I don't imagine any witch is going to say that everything they do works, because maybe you don't do it correctly. You do something that for some reason it doesn't work out, which can happen with anything through life, can't it? So that was the thing with ritual. And like I say, when you say ritual, I know people might conjure up images of ceremonial magic, but it doesn't have to be that at all. I think as well, you can, I've heard people say, well, I don't plan anything, I'll do it on the spur of the moment. Again, that's fine. You can do it on the spur of the moment, as long as you're, being serious and putting your intent into it. You have your ingredients, but it's not just about the ingredients. It is about them, but they're just a part of it. So, I just think intent is everything with what you put into whatever spell work that you're doing. And, even working with your gods and goddesses, I've got notes here, so that's why I'm looking down, because I won't remember everything otherwise. So we covered the Wheel of the Year, and like I said, I personally don't think it's something that is made up. And working with gods and goddesses is not for me something that's made up. But everybody has their own way of doing things. I mean, I can feel the life in things, in plants. I can go out of my front door and go to this hawthorn tree, and I can feel the life in that tree. Those trees are alive. They're a life form. There's something that is alive, like all plants and flowers and trees. Everything is connected. And if we didn't have those things, we wouldn't be alive. And the bees and all insects. This is why I never kill insects or anything of any description, because it's still life. even the tiniest ant, it's life. That little thing moving along in front of you, this ant that you might want to tread on, and it's alive, it's walking, you stamp on it, it's dead. The life has gone from that being. And why did you need to do that? Why did you need to take that small thing's life? It's like, I don't like spiders, but I don't want to kill them because I think all they're doing is doing their thing. And if you kill that spider, it's like you've just taken its life away, and it wasn't doing anything to you. It wasn't going to harm you in any way. I know there are, in different parts of the world, poisonous spiders that can do harm. I get that, obviously, and you know, some of these bites and things can be fatal. But here in the UK, we don't usually have venomous spiders. You do have to be careful of something called a false widow. I know that. But otherwise, generally, why not just let them go about their business, what they're doing? Why do you have to snuff out the life of that creature? You know, so like I say, and for some people maybe it might seem weird that I'm saying that I can feel the life in trees and things. I can. I honestly can feel it. Like I can. That's why I love going up to trees and literally touching them and putting arms around and stuff, because they're a living thing. And especially like when you go to see old trees, very old trees, that's why I loved, even though I couldn't go near it, I loved seeing Major Oak in Sherwood Forest, and I loved seeing Gog and Magog in Glastonbury, even though it nearly crippled me and Simon walking there and back. But it was lovely to see them, even though one of those trees is dead. And I can almost feel that, the thought that that tree was alive, and then somebody stupidly left a candle alight and set that tree alight. It's such an ancient old tree. The other one is still alive, but on its last sort of, you know, is coming to the end of its life, I think. But you know, to look and see something that ancient, and I so wanted to touch them, and you can't because they're behind fence now, which I don't blame them doing that after what happened with Gog, and Magog is still alive, or the other way around. I always get them confused, but yeah, that's just what I wanted to say, really, guys. I don't know what you're going to think of this. It's just, when I hear these things, I just think this is not right, in my eyes anyway. And for me, it just feels like being disrespectful, because, you know, for me personally, because my great gran was a witch, and there's the whole bloodline for me, so it'd be like me disrespecting my ancestors, you know. So yeah, so I just wanted to kind of come on and say that, really. As I said, you can leave comments below, but please kind of keep it nice. And I hope that this made sense. I mean, I'm just hoping it did, because I'm not great at articulating things, but hopefully I've got my point across. And yeah, and I will be back at some point, probably with a walkthrough. I'm probably going to do an autumn decks video, because I've got a few that I'm going to use from now until sort of winter time. So hopefully I will be able to do that. And I hope everyone is doing really well, and I will talk to you all again soon. So bye for now.